Today, I want to talk to you all about how to pivot during this pandemic. Um, I'm a designer of a creative direction business along with my online retail shop, District of Clothing, which is what has me here with you today. I've been a full-time entrepreneur for 10 years now, and I've had District of Clothing. We're now in our 5th year. I constantly will say we because I think I include like my family members and my occasional interns and, some of my 1099 employees as like very much a part of the business. But for the most part, it is me. So if you are also a solo entrepreneur, know that I understand your pain and your frustration and your excitement and the highs and the lows, because I'm right there with you. Okay. If I go down to the next one. Yes. Okay. So like you, I've been home trying to be productive in work, but initially these unprecedented times didn't permit much work to occur. For the first week or so, I was just really worried and fearful and scared and stocking up and checking in on my parents and trying to do as best as I could. And I wasn't even in a place where I was able to work. That did not come for maybe 2 weeks. I probably wasn't able to work just as a creative. I was feeling it quite differently. But once I got through the initial shock, fear, sadness, and the grief of the pandemic, I was ready to get back to work. Unfortunately, at that time, I didn't quite know what getting back to work was going to be because my main hustle, I call District of Clothing my side hustle baby, and my main hustle is a creative direction business. And at that time, this is early March, I wasn't hearing from my clients as frequently as I normally do. But that actually gave me a little bit of time to start working a bit more with District of Clothing. And so my steps, starting with the very first, were both very organic to myself and my brand. And I think that's where we should start. You have to start when you're working on your pandemic pivot with your brand. Consider your brand in its most authentic and natural state. I think it's important for you to revisit your mission, your value statement, and reconnect with the reason why you're doing what you're doing. So for a brand to be considered authentic, it needs to be perceived as reliable, respectful, and real. And you have to constantly ask yourself what you're doing to make that happen and to make that come across to your clients, your customers, and your potential customers as well. For District and myself, it's to encourage progression, inspire action, and to support self-love. And so I strongly believe that because I've always maintained a direct and very authentic connection to my brand, it's allowed District of Clothing to have even just one be here for 5 years. And then also it's allowed our community to want to continue to grow with us as opposed to us just being a fad or a quick trend or a t-shirt that somebody buys and then throws away. I think our desire to remain connected to our value points and it has really allowed people to continue to want to connect with us. And in speaking about our community, that's what leads us to our next slide. Serving your audience. And if I could, I probably would have put serving your audience sincerely here. When you're considering your pandemic pivot, it's important to serve your audience sincerely. Now more than ever, it's imperative brands have a purpose and take a stand in something that consistently resonates with their community, one that is attractive and inspiring enough to organically drive belief-driven consumers to want to post about it and create organic promotion. When I talk about belief-driven consumers, sorry, we're getting some orders here, which is awesome. My phone is buzzing quite a bit. So thank you all for supporting me at this time. Let me start over again talking about your audience here. When you're considering your pandemic pivot, it's important that you serve your audience sincerely. Now more than ever, it's imperative brands have a purpose and take a stand in something that consistently resonates with their community, one that is attractive and inspiring enough to organically drive belief-driven consumers to post about it and to create organic promotion. So to me, this means that brands must share their purpose and their values and their belief at every touch point and with every product to break through in the overwhelmingly congested digital marketplace. As our last speaker was saying, Jessica, she's referencing brands that have millions of dollars for ad buys, and they probably have 10 to 20 to 50 to 100 people working on their social media. And I'm sure guys like you, it's just us, right? So we have to make sure that we are being deliberate, that we're being authentic, and that we're being honest and vulnerable as well. The good news, I believe, is that the belief-driven consumers, they're optimistic, they highly value transparency, they perceive BS quite quickly, in my opinion, and they also believe that they can change the world. They want to change the world, they believe they can change the world, and they will 100 million% support brands with that same value system. So I think it's now more important than ever, as similar to many of our previous speakers said, that you continue to act with integrity, you communicate with integrity and authenticity, and that you provide a vulnerable leadership, not just for yourself, but also for your community. Let me take a quick break and say, I use community when I'm referencing my consumers. I don't like to call them customers or consumers because I feel like we're all in this together. So I actually call them my community members. And but when you hear me say community, I'm actually referencing consumers. Okay. It is probably, I think, fairly certain that consumers expect companies to interact with integrity and authenticity, and that this also helps to build the trust and influences customer buy-in. So once they believe that they can trust you, they will feel comfortable giving you their money. They'll feel comfortable maybe purchasing from a phone or a mobile device versus their computer. They'll feel comfortable purchasing a product without having felt it or seen it in person. They'll just feel comfortable knowing that you are a brand that has integrity and authenticity, and they'll feel comfortable actually giving you their hard-earned money. To be clear, buy-in is when people feel connected, inspired by a particular brand, and they are emotionally invested in their success. And this is what I call the belief-driven consumer. And this is what I consider my customer base, my community base. They are all belief-driven. We have very similar hopes and aspirations. And while our goals might be different, we all have a similar desire to progress and for progression just in general. That's what helps to bind us all together. Okay. So given my community is belief-driven and like me, probably was worried, anxious, and working from home, I wanted to communicate with them and serve them in a manner that was honest, vulnerable, positive, and helpful during this time. I wanted to pivot to the needs of the society, of my community that was also dealing with COVID-19. And that's when I decided, okay, our top selling item is the Dreamer Doer, which encourages people to have some sort of a dream or a vision or some sort of a goal, and then to take time to actually go out and seek that. And I kept saying to myself, in order for me to be the woman behind this brand and encouraging other people to do what they think they should be doing during this time, I need to make sure that I'm doing that as well for folks. And that brings me to getting started with pivoting, not panicking, and common purpose. Okay. Smart coronavirus pivots utilize the resources and skills a company already has, creating a product or a service that is in demand and finding a way to serve the population in need. I want to be very honest with you all and let you know that I'm sensitive to the fact that many of the things I'm going to share with you didn't happen overnight. Like I said, my business is 5 years old. We're 5.5 years old at this point. And some of the marketing, some of the ideas, some of the implementations, they've had some momentum leading up to this. So it's not like things just happened overnight, but I hope that you will feel that you can still implement some of these pivots into your shop now, or planning for whatever happens in the next, 6 months to 2 years. Who knows how long this is going to be around. So I'm going to try to speak a little bit more slowly because I'm going to give you a step-by-step list of what I did for my pandemic pivot. And again, you can also look on your phones or however, I think some people are on YouTube, but my website is districtofclothing.com. It's DISTRICT of clothing, CLOTHING.com. So I got started about, I think it was like March 13th. And I really suffer from imposter syndrome. So for me, even just like writing a caption can take me a whole freaking hour, like, you know, or I just might not post it because I get nervous. If it's for a client, I can do it in my sleep with my eyes closed. If it's for me or for my brand, it takes much longer. But with COVID-19, I started almost like very organically, very naturally posting relevant social media posts. You can also probably follow along on my Instagram handle, which is at District of Clothing. Okay, so I think it was March 13th. The very first post we did was talking about what Isaac Newton did in the 1600s when there was, I don't know, a pandemic or something, and he like came up with the theory of gravity, and a lot of people responded to it. We had several people sharing it, and I probably got like maybe 30 to 40 follows just from that. And that moment I was thinking like, okay, hey, I'm gonna be home. I'm gonna be, you know, full of energy. I'm gonna be super productive. Until the next day happened, and I like don't think I got out of bed for 6 hours because I was so depressed and worried and freaked out and just, you know, dealing with the same thing that we're all dealing with. Initially, these posts were, and they still are, rather timely COVID-19 resources regarding flattening the curve, social distancing, and working from home. And as I continued to move forward with that, they were all sort of related to our new normal. So I'm definitely not posting anything that's like fun or fashion forward. I'm not really a salesperson, as you can tell. I'm much more of I like to tell stories. I like to remember, you know, like nostalgic things. I changed the way that we were posting. So as opposed to just posting like our encouraging messages with the white background, I started adding like different colors. And I felt like, as a creative director and a designer, that these colors could help me be like either invigorate someone or like bring happiness or, you know, be more calming. So we were kind of adjusting the posts with different colored backgrounds as well as different fonts. And then I just very naturally started to adjust my social post schedule. And that was just another natural thing that happened according to my new insanely high screen time. So I don't know, say my average screen time on my phone might be like 2 to 3 hours. Well, during, you know, the stay-at-home orders, I was on social media or on my phone like upwards of 8 to 9 hours. And once I started noticing I was on my phone more, I was like, oh, well, maybe I should post more. I'm noticing that I'm on social media more, so I bet you other people are too. Like, let's start to post more and take advantage of this screen time. Another thing that I did was I commented more on other people's posts. And a lot of times these would be customers or part of our community. And then it might also be someone who we weren't following, but if someone maybe commented on one of my posts, then I would go to their page and like several different pictures or posts and then maybe respond to something. I was checking in quite a bit via social media on our highly engaged community members and responding to comments and just saying, you know, we're thinking of you, we hope you're okay. And this was not anything more than just me being human and being at home on my couch and wanting to connect, you know, and also wanting to thank people as people were continuing to wear clothes from the brand at home. I was getting more inspired and more emotional, if I could be honest. And I felt like my community was there for me and I wanted to be there for them too. Another thing we did, which I think it was Jessica that mentioned earlier, was we did a couple of posts that were thanking the nurses and the frontline workers. And these were posts that we didn't do, but they were like posts by either other women artists or women of color artists, and we would always, tag and give them credit for the artistry, which is a way to also like, give someone else a pat on the back and also give them exposure as well. And then, in the last couple of days, I've needed some like COVID comedy, so I'm not funny, but I think I kind of have a sense of humor occasionally. And it's like, once I noticed like the laundry that kept piling up, I was like, this is insane, and I was kind of like trying to tell myself some funny jokes, and I'm just laughing. I'm like, well, maybe this is funny. So I would post, my little laundry joke, and we got a great response from it. I think, like Jessica was saying, and several of the other speakers as well, it's great to just be honest and human, and we don't know what's happening. We're all fumbling day by day and moment by moment. I think day by day was another post on a day that I was having a really bad day. It's just like, okay, we're gonna get through this day and we're gonna get through it together. Like, if all we have together at this moment is social media, then hey, at least that's something that we have together. Okay. All of that led me to a new pivot. Let's go to our next slide here, which is the launch of the Common Purpose collection, which I don't know if you can see, but I'm wearing here today. Common Purpose was, again, I have severe imposter syndrome. So Common Purpose was actually designed in 2019, and I kept pushing back the release date because I just was too nervous to launch it. We eventually, I eventually just thought, instead of waiting until I'm actually comfortable to do this, let's just set a finite date, and I'll launch Common Purpose in August or September of 2020. And it can be a collection that will allow us to encourage people to vote in the 2020 American presidential election. So my goal, again, I started doing some marketing. I started, pulling some things together. I was working on photo shoots. I had scheduled a couple of my favorite photographers, and then coronavirus hit, and we're getting some momentum with the social media. And I kept thinking about Common Purpose and wondering, how it was going to work, if we were going to have an election like we normally do, or people are going to be voting from home. I was just thinking of all these things. And then one day it sort of hit me, why don't we switch and do this pivot? And instead of launching Common Purpose in August or September, why don't we launch it now? And our tagline is, because now, the only way we're going to get through this together. So we have a common purpose. It's light, but it's also very intentional. And to me, it feels good. And we've gotten a really great response from it. So with Common Purpose, we decided to donate a portion of the proceeds to support COVID-19 relief. Tomorrow will actually be 1 month to the day since we first launched, and I'll be sending out a new email noting who we're going to be supporting with this, or I should say which organization we're going to be supporting with this. But the response here has been just so, I mean, has just been awesome. I get a little ping every time, we get a new order, and I get a notification from Printful, and it just fills me up to see people coming together with the common purpose, wanting to do something for the better good to help other people. Aside from using our best-selling items, and when I say best-selling items, that's essentially just like a hoodie or a t-shirt and the dad hat, we implemented the neck gaiter, which I can't even speak, it's just been awesome, as well as the crop top. And now we've been getting several orders for the neck gaiter, people noting that this is for a gift for Mother's Day. So it's like, it now sort of has like a continued purchase reason, I guess I'll say. Okay. On the website now, with the steps that I changed for the website is I removed the hero image. Excuse me 1 second, that's my puppy. She's trying to get away. Sorry guys. This is homeschooling. This is real, like working at home, right? Okay. For the website, I removed the hero image from the website to increase the load speed, and I think it increased it by like 0.6 seconds, which doesn't seem long, but it actually is a long time, and it really, I think, made a difference. Also on the website, I put the common purpose collection at the very top, and then I included some marketing language there. So it says the common purpose collection, which is what it normally just would say, the common purpose collection. But here I added, because the only way we'll get through this is together. And then again, more marketing language: purchase supports COVID-19 relief. Again, I remember, and I don't remember who it was, but someone, I think it might have been Leah, was talking about language. And so we changed quite a bit of the language on the website to adjust to our new normal. One example of that is, instead of just saying sale, we now have a work from home sale, which has been doing fairly well too. It kind of caught me by surprise. I added the highlight bar at the very top, noting that order timelines may be longer than usual as we work to keep our team healthy and safe, or safe and healthy. We added a gift card option, which was really awesome, of Shopify. I used the Shopify platform to sell. And it, the gift card option is usually only a part of a much higher level, but I guess it's like a part of a different, I don't know what the word is I'm trying to use, but it normally is not available on the level that I use, but they're now making it available for all shops. So that was great. And then lastly, I removed several items that weren't moving. Okay, I see that I'm really moving slowly here. So 2 more slides and we're done. Marketing, I believe again that I'm probably duping everything that I said earlier, so I'll swing through this fairly quickly. But number one, I think it's really important to over communicate, and this is what I did. The more I was in touch with my community, whether that was via comments or DMs or emails or Facebook Messenger, the faster I respond, the better. I was, letting everyone know that I honestly don't necessarily know when you're going to get this, but we're working to keep everyone safe. In our in our email marketing that's going out tomorrow, I'm going to share, 1 or 2 of the photos from the Printful post a couple of days ago, so that they can see, like, these are real people in here. We're really working hard for you, and we're trying to get things out. Everyone's been incredibly kind and very well responsive thus far, and me letting them know, I don't know when you're going to get your items, but I promise you that they're coming. I think kind of flipping back to what I said earlier is, people trust us, and so they don't believe that I've just taken their money, or that I'm not that they're not going to get their items. Like, they absolutely feel that it's coming, and they understand what's going on. So the more you over communicate, the better that they'll feel. I should also note that I kicked off my marketing by writing an incredibly vulnerable and honest email that took me about 2 weeks to write. And I wrote that in the email, that it's taken me 2 weeks to write this, where I was letting them know, like, we were planning, in Q3 and Q4 for our 5th year in 2020. And we were looking forward to collections and to collaborations, and never once did I plan for a pandemic. And after listening to Nora, I'm actually thinking about adding that to the website, because I think it could be helpful. We got a great response from that. But I just believe it's strong, and I'm happy to share if you guys want me to email it out. But I think it's just important that we try to be as honest and as positive as possible, but as also as honest as possible. Like Jessica was saying earlier, we are small businesses. We're human too, we're going through the ups and the downs, and the more honest you can be with folks, it makes them connect with you in a different way.
And I think that it's already working, because a lot of our viewers are sending comments and really appreciating, your story and what you've been doing, and they've been checking out your site and everything. And so you're getting everybody really, really excited. So thanks for that really in-depth talk you just gave. It was really, really good. Unfortunately, I kind of have to stop you for a bit, because we have to move into our Q&A session, and sorry about that, really, but your talk was really, really inspirational, and it really shows in the comments. And thank you all our viewers out there who've been commenting and sharing all those good vibes. So thank you so much.